to provide every qualified Filipino with emergency financial subsidy and other forms of assistance under the Social Amelioration Program. How does government address the gaps in this second month of the expanded community quarantine? We discuss in this episode of the Chiefs. Welcome to this special edition of the Chiefs. We are all still under quarantine, just like you. I'm Robbie Alampay here in Quezon City, and with me is Ami Pamtuan of the Philippine Star and Ed Lingao of One News. Ami and Ed, kamusta kayo?
Good afternoon. Nanonood din kami ng briefing ng Malacanang kanina.
Nanonood kami ng briefing, pero higit sa lahat, ang mas malaking story ata, birthday ni Robbie eh.
Happy birthday!
Maraming salamat. I think it's safe to say this is a memorable day and season for everyone celebrating any kind of occasion.
Tsaka anyway, Robbie, kahit may ECQ, meron naman delivery, so okay lang yung pa-pizza. Darating din yan.
Hindi, sayang eh. Nag-stricto eh. Pinakinggan ko kahapon si Secretary Nograles, medyo mas stricto raw ngayon ng mga delivery. So, pasensya na muna.
hindi kasama yung food delivery sa stricter measures. Anyway, sige po.
Nakapektuhan sila dahil naglalabasan na yata lahat ng tao. Inip na 1 month na. Kaya
Anyway, Ed, as we mentioned, kakatapos lang ng briefing sa Malacanang with Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Can you tell us what are the important things that were mentioned by Secretary Roque?
Well, basically, at least the part that I got, a lot of reminders lang doon sa ECQ, the need to continue the ECQ and justifying the ECQ's extension until April 30. And any decision beyond April 30 will probably be made next week. Kasi by Monday daw, they expect a new round of recommendations from the President's advisors as to how to handle the ECQ. Will it be extended as it is? Or will it be modified into a different version? Yun ang wala pang lina doon, and that's expected. At least recommendations are expected on Monday. Although maliban na kasi si Harry Roque was expected, at least in our conversation earlier this morning, he said that they were going to release a major directive from the President with regard to the ECQ. Pero mukhang walang nilabas siya this noon time eh. So baka we should be waiting for something else, some other announcement within the day. It was supposed to be parang some sort of stricter measure or stricter directive on how to implement the ECQ dahil sa galit ng gobyerno dun sa pag-violate ng ECQ over the past few days.
Yeah, so actually, I think that's the main point. Our episode today, we have a lot of guests precisely to talk, if not necessarily the definitive when, at least the questions of how. And in particular, we're joined in this discussion by Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rolando Bautista. Secretary Bautista, welcome to the Chiefs.
Foremost, I'd like to greet Sir Robbie. Happy birthday. And to Ma'am Ami and Sir Ed, magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, so naging apat na ngayon ang papadala ni Robbie ng
problema pa mag-online si Secretary Bautista. But again, Ed, going back to what you were saying,
Nawala yata si Robbie. Nawala si Robbie. Kumustahin na muna natin.
Sir, natakot si Robbie sa inyo kasi binati niyo ng happy birthday. Baka magpa-pizza rin daw.
Kumustahin na muna natin si Secretary Bautista. Kumusta po yung pamimigay natin ng mga social amelioration? Mukhang marami kaming naririnig ng mga reklamo ngayon. But anyway, why don't you give us an update lang as of today?
Yes, sir. Let's go to the numbers.
Yes, Ma'am Ami and Sir Ed. So thank you for allowing me to update everyone with regards to the Social Amelioration Program. As of April 4, we already started transferring funds to the local government units because for all we know, sila po yung primary implementer ng Social Amelioration Program to be assisted by the DSWD, DILG, AFP, and the PNP. So as of 15 April po, a total of 1,289 out of 1,632 LGUs were provided with funds amounting to over 67.5 billion. That represents more than 83% of the 81 billion downloaded to the field offices, including the BARM. So, ibig sabihin po nun, na-transfer na po natin yung pondo na 67.5 billion sa ating mga LGUs. Earlier on April 3 to 5, the DSWD has provided the cash subsidy to more than 3.7 million Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program beneficiaries across the country, amounting to more than 16.3 billion. Ito pong mga 4-piece beneficiaries, apparently, we have the list, a credible list, considering that they receive a regular cash grant every
Dati na po.
month. Furthermore, through the partnership of DSWD, DOTR, Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, and Land Bank, around 12,454 PUB drivers from the National Capital Region have already received the cash assistance out of more than 40,000 target beneficiaries. Aside from the Social Amelioration Program, the department continues to deliver services to its regular programs, such as the assistance to individuals in crisis situation. As of April 14, some 13,135 clients with COVID-related concerns were provided with medical burial assistance to this program. Meaning to say, these are outside the SAP
Yes, sir.
cash subsidy. So it amounted to more than 61 billion.
Yes, sir.
So that is the update right now with regard to
Opo.
the
Secretary Bautista, if I may ask po, kasi po siyempre yung pinaka-linchpin po ng lahat ng effort ng DSWD ngayon, I suppose, is yung Social Amelioration Program for the 18 million Filipino families, yung the most vulnerable sector. Ang nabanggit po ninyo kasi is yung 3.7 million na nabigyan na po. But that's out of 18 million, so that amounts to mga 20% pa lamang ng total number of target beneficiaries natin dun sa Bayanihan Act. Bakit po medyo maliit yung figure? That's only 1 out of every 5 target beneficiaries.
At tama kayo doon, Sir Ed. Actually, ang parang naging procedure dito, since we already transferred the funds to the local government units, and of course, with regards to the distribution procedures, what system the LGU will use, then the DSWD will just assist them together with the DILG, AFP, and PNP. There are some may mga peculiar na situations sa bawat areas. Baring banggitin ko dito, unang-una, yung priority areas na gustong unahin ng ating mga LGU. In some areas, they implement the cash out, the payout sa mga geographically and isolated disadvantaged areas before they go down to the lowland. Others, they also consider yung security concerns. And ang pinakamalaking factor dito, Sir Ed, is most of the LGUs implemented the SAP after the Holy Week. Pero after
Okay.
Yeah, pero after the Holy Week, up to now, LGUs are really continuously rolling out and reaching out, spreading the payout. So hopefully there will be an improvement, much more improvement compared to the payout that was conducted before the Holy Week.
Secretary, linawin ko lang yung role dito, no? Kasi naguguluhan yung mga tao saan daw sila pupunta. So DSWD are saying support nagsusupport siya sa LGU. So yung barangay pa rin ang lead sa actual distribution ng pondo. Tama ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. Ang konsepto po natin dyan ay based on the local government code, it is the LGU who are responsible as the front line in the service delivery. So ang pag-transfer po nating funds, it is the LGU who determines and identify yung sinasabi natin mga target beneficiaries. These are the non-for-peace target beneficiary. So
sir, ang basihan ng barangay, halimbawa, sila mag-identify pala ng beneficiary. Anong basihan nun? Paano kung wala kang complete documentation ng mga pangangailangan mo na informal tutor ka? Kasi marami mga nagrereklamo na ito daw si ganitong barangay captain, pinapanigan, yung mga kakilala lang niya, yung una daw yung mga yon, yung iba daw, naiiwanan, nauubusan daw ng pondo. Are you receiving those types of reports?
Yes, ma'am. Nakaka-receive kami ng report doon. Actually, there is a continuous discussion and engagement, consultation with the different LGUs. Ang isa pong concern po talaga dyan is out of the targeted, indicative target number na na-allocate sa bawat barangay o sa LGU, ay ang karamiang sinasabi po ng ating LGU ay kulang po ang numerong ibinigay sa kanila. So dito po actually ang isang concern, yung mga ibang kapatid natin na hindi nakasama sa listahan na dinetermine ng ating mga LGU o maybe sa barangay. Ang sinasabi po namin sa kanila ay, ang sinabi namin sa LGU, yung mga sabihin natin hindi nakasama doon, ay kunin lang po ang kanilang mga pangalan, get their names, get the numbers, and submit that to the DSWD because we have already an arrangement and coordination with our economic managers na we will give them the database for those who were not included in the indicative target beneficiary. Then they will program or plan for additional budget doon sa mga hindi nakasama, yung hindi mabibigyan for this month.
So pwede hong maghabol. Pwede hong maghabol ng pangalan.
Opo, Sir Ed. Alam naman po natin na yung number is not accurate. So naisabi na rin po namin yan sa mga LGU.
Secretary Robbie Alampay po ulit, no? Other than yung difficulty coming that way, of LGUs understanding fully kung sino yung beneficiaries. Once na-identify po natin, because we're also seeing some pictures and some scenes na problematic, and some people are also pointing out, ayan na, nagkawalaan na tayo ng social distancing, there are certain LGUs na ibang sistema, some LGUs are more high-tech, some are making people line up. Just the other day, we had a report of people lining up, and sabi nga ni Gerard de la Peña, wala na, nagkadikit-dikit na. I'm just curious, what are some best practices that you have seen from different LGUs na you think kakayanin ng bawat LGU to implement? Best practices in terms of kayang silbihan ng maraming tao, at the same time, magagampanin pa rin natin ang social distancing na tinatawag.
Salamat, Sir Robbie. Isang best practices that I think being replicated right now by some of the LGUs in Cordillera Autonomous Region, ito lang, gusto ko i-share yung ginawa ni Mayor Magalong. And maybe if you have time to interview him, he will be a living witness on how he did it in Baguio City. Actually, ang ginawa niya, ang Baguio City, they devised a system to facilitate the prompt provision of the SAP custody to the eligible families. Of course, starting from the identification, release of aid. Then the local government set up an operation center and recruited about 120 volunteers to help out the process. Officials in the barangays were also asked to identify 3 to 5 well-respected individuals in their communities to help in the screening and invalidating the list of beneficiaries, which are posted online for all the residents to see the address to address the issue of transparency. So meaning to say, uh, yung issue po, yung sinasabi natin na babiolate po yung social distancing, prohibition on movement. We put on the trust on the local government unit because as per coordination with them with regard to the scheduling, distribution of payout of this we will leave it to them because they know the situation on the ground and they know the character or the attitude of their constituents. Ang sa amin lang po, once they schedule the payout, then we'll just be there to assist them and monitor the conduct of the payout. Marami po mga best practices. Nakarinig din po ako sa city ng Valenzuela. Parang ang sinabi po sa akin ng regional director is they will be looking
on
for...
the other side of that, are there other...
Yes, sir.
Si Robbie's buffering ata again eh. Well, Sec Bautista, in the meantime, can I ask you this? Kasi anyway, since you mentioned already Valenzuela, of course, we do acknowledge and we do recognize the enormity of the task that you're trying to undertake. You're looking at 18 million families. That's basically 75% of the number of families nationwide. Malaki-laki yun eh. But on the other hand po, nagkakaroon ng ilang concerns yung mga LGUs, especially in Metro Manila, doon sa number of families that are being allotted to them na isama doon sa Social Amelioration Fund. For example, Valenzuela City, ang sabi ni Mayor Gatchalian, parang ang pinapayagan lang sila ng DSWD to identify 43% of their targeted of the families that they think should belong under the SAP. Manila, wala pang 50% ang binigay sa kanilang allotment dun sa tingin nilang poor families. I think Pasig City has the same complaint. Sabi ni Mayor Vico Soto, 200,000 families sana yung gusto niya isama as poor, pero 90,000 lamang po. How exactly is the DSWD computing po yung allotments for the families to be included dun sa SAP?
Actually, sir, Ed, the computation on the projection of the indicative target list beneficiary is jointly done by the Department of Finance and the DSWD. But apparently, on the projection of the beneficiaries, kasi budget na yung pinag-uusapan yan, doon na po yung Department of Finance. At any rate, ang sabi ko nga po kanina na talagang meron exclusion error na hindi nakasama sa indicative target list beneficiaries. Ang ipinaliwanag lang po namin dito sa ating mga mayors na kukunin po namin ang numbers na mga sabihin natin na exclude na hindi nakasama doon sa target list and we will validate that and that will serve as yung database namin kasi ang advice po sa atin ng ating Department of Finance to get those qualified beneficiary. Hindi naman qualified pero those who are eligible, no? And opo. Then they will be the one to program and source out budget for those who were not included do sa current allocation for the city or municipality, Sir Ed.
Secretary, isa pang gusto ko linawin about senior citizens. No? Kasama ba lahat ng senior citizens? Marami kasi nagtatanong na eh. Meron bang
concern ni Ami ho yun eh.
Lapit na ako dyan, hindi pa naman ako beneficiary. Pero marami kasi nagtatanong, ano daw yung cut-off? Meron bang income cut-off for senior citizens? O lahat sila talagang kasama?
Ma'am, ang guidelines po doon is actually the social amelioration is for the family. No? So for a senior citizen, apparently if he is considered one family and receiving a pension, then hindi po sila kasama sa Social Amelioration Program. Pero yung mga senior citizen na head of the family and they do not have any other source of income or pension, then isinasama po sila sa Social Amelioration Program. Ayun po yung isa sa mga guidelines na kinoordinate po namin sa ating mga local government units. Bali, ang ibig po sabihin nun, kapag ang isang pamilya, meron siyang senior citizen, PWD, or lactating women, then ang gagawin po ng LGU ay ipaprioritize po sila to be included in the list, no, for the SAP beneficiary po.
Kung wala silang natatanggap,
Secretary,
kung walang ibang natatanggap, yung
Opo, ma'am, opo. Actually, ang senior citizen natin, nakaka-receive po sila ng yung grant coming from the DSWD worth 500 pesos per month. So, more or less 6,000 per year. Other than that, meron din po silang natatanggap as member of the unconditional cash transfer. No? So, more or less, nakakatanggap din po ng mga 1,000 plus ang ating senior citizen. Ito po yung grants na nanggagaling po sa DSWD na binibigay po.
Okay.
Secretary, obviously po ang isang malaking usapin ngayon kung papahabain pa ang ECQ. Kung i-extend pa natin ang quarantine. Now, obviously, that has implications for business and the economy. That also has implications for the aids and grants that we're extending. But going to that, kung pagka po in-extend for however period, ano po ba? I mean, is the budget for grants and aid a major factor, or is that something we're in a position to reassure our people na no, this is purely a public health concern, pagdating sa pahabaan ng quarantine, kaya pa natin to?
Sir Robbie, foremost yung budget na inallocate po for this ECQ is for 2 months. So, meaning to say, the 206 billion plus is allocated for 2 months. And apparently, if the ECQ will be extended up to May, then we are sure that we have the budget to support yung ating mga kababayan. And that will go beyond 2 months. I believe that our economic managers, headed by our Secretary of Finance, have already brainstorming and wargaming on where will they get the additional budget. And maybe I'll just advise that maybe you can ask Secretary Sani on how they will going to source additional budget if in case this ECQ will be prolonged.
Sec Bautista, I hope you don't mind. Balikan ko lang po yung Social Amelioration Fund kasi ito yung talagang inaabangan ng maraming tao na hindi nakapagtrabaho ngayon. Po, when we were looking at the numbers kanina, more or less mga 20% pa lang yung naibibigay doon sa total na 18 families. So you're looking at the other 80%. What's a good time frame po for people to expect the rollout of the bulk of the first month pa lang ho to, di ba? The bulk of the first month of the Social Amelioration Program. At kailan man po yung second month? When would that come out?
Sir, Ed, actually, the arrangement with the local government unit is bounded by a memorandum of agreement. Memorandum of agreement highlights the accountability of the LGU, their roles, and pinaka-importante dito is on the aspect of liquidation. So apparently, though we have the funds for the purpose of transparency and accountability, they have to liquidate whatever amount they receive from the DSWD. Siyempre, kailangan po yan because post-audit ng COA ay ayan din po ang hahanapin. So based on the arrangement, we could not give the second month the budget intended for the second month if in case they were not able to liquidate the first month.
Okay.
Ayun po ang arrangement natin. Pero if assuming that they were able to liquidate or finish the payout before 1 month and liquidate, then we will push on with the MOA, give them the second month budget for the Social Amelioration Program.
So it's in their ball court na. It's in their court.
Opo, Sir Ed.
Okay, Secretary Bautista, we're running out of time. Baka po meron kayong gustong huling panawagan sa mga taong bayan natin.
Ma'am, Ami, salamat po for giving me this time. I just want to convey my message, which I like to share it and air this to our countrymen. No? My message is DSWD's appeal to the nation. So let us try to understand the plight of our poor brothers and sisters, those who were prioritized by the Listahanan 2015 of the DSWD and the additional members projected by the economic team of the administration to receive the Social Amelioration Cash Assistance. These poor vulnerable households depend on their daily income to survive and are totally hand-to-mouth survivors. The poor informal sector members of society have nothing, are not educated, have undernourished members, have no opportunities, and were born on the other side of the tracks, so to speak. Some of them are trying to get out of the bondage. Let's help them survive this crisis. We understand the plight of salaried workers from the middle class who also need help. The government is looking into assistance for the middle class sector. Yusek Carl Chua of the Department of Finance said, and I quote, "The Department of Finance is eyeing a 51 billion program to help middle class families through wage subsidies for workers of micro, small, and medium enterprises, which will help around 3.4 million workers of 1.6 million businesses in the formal sector whose operations were affected by the enhanced community quarantine," unquote. The list of beneficiaries shall prioritize those who comply with their tax payments and SSS contributions. The coronavirus pandemic has taken the world by storm, that even first world countries were prepared for the aftermath unleashed by the virus. We're all learning from what worked for other countries and adapting what was appropriate to our Philippine setting. The IATF has enabled all agencies of government to act as one for the good of all. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic is a challenge for the national government and each and every elected public official down to the barangay level. The DSWD would like to appeal to the LGU leadership, including barangay councils, to try to come up with their list as soon as possible and distribute the cash assistance in accordance with the rules of the Republic Act number 11469 or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act of 2020. For the LGU constituents that are not covered by the Social Amelioration Program cash assistance of the government but are included in the list of their respective mayors, may we kindly request the mayors and their councils to look into their council's finances, savings, program projects for the year that are to be implemented, which can be deferred, and other possible sources of funds that are available to them, which can be used to fill in the gap of their additional beneficiaries being requested from the DSWD so that they can come up with the same amount as dictated by the regional wage rates of their area in an amelioration program of the city or municipality. And finally, COVID-19 is a time of crisis that calls for unity, brotherhood, sisterhood, and healing as one nation. The DSWD thanks all the LGUs, the AFP, and the Coast Guard, the PNP, all government agencies, stakeholders to include our media, donors, and the Filipino people for their cooperation, patience, and support. Maraming po salamat.
Okay. We hope that cleared up a lot of questions. Sana po nalinawan ng mga nanonood natin yung mga maraming issues dyan. That was Secretary Rolando Bautista of the Social Welfare Department. Marami pong salamat po for joining the chief.
Secretary, thank you po. Thank you very much.
Maraming salamat po. Maraming salamat po.
Happy birthday po ulit, Sir Robbie.
Wag muna kayong aalis. Babalik po ang...
Mapuputol na naman ako niya.
Oo nga.
Ilang minutes itong gap?
2 minutes lang po. Dito na po si Mayor Marcy. Mayor Marcy, soundcheck po tayo.
Yeah, okay.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi,
Mayor.
Sir, may good news to kayo.
Ed,
Sir, may good news to kayo.
Kanina lang.
good news na rin. Oh, good news na.
Na-approve na
Oo,
lang,
yan
na-approve.
Kahapon sa IATF meeting, pinush ng task force na i-hasten ng DOH yung accreditation. And we're expecting accreditation to come out by Monday.
Na Monday.
Oh, okay. So Monday, good to go na kayo.
Mayor, as far as you know, kayo lang ba ang nag-aantay ng accreditation na yan? Are there other LGUs that are actually have it lined up?
Sa pagkakaalam ko, Marikina lamang ang LGU na merong ganitong klaseng testing center na PCR based. Hindi to rapid testing, hindi din to satellite testing center, but PCR based testing.
Okay. Sinong
Well, sir, congratulations.
papasok dito?
Si Ami ata eh.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Welcome back to the Chiefs here on One News. Katatapos lang po natin kay Secretary Bautista ng DSWD, pinag-usapan natin yung mga tulong na ginagawa ng DSWD at ng LGU para sa mga tao. Ngayon naman, puntahan natin yung isang LGU na nasa balita lately for its efforts to help its constituents, si Mayor Marcelino Teodoro of Marikina. Mayor, welcome back to the Chiefs.
Ami, thank you at maraming salamat sa lahat.
Good to have you, sir.
Meron pong balita. Meron po tayong magandang balita ngayon. Balita ko tungkol sa inyong ipinaglalaban na testing center sa Marikina.
Totoo yan, Ami. Magandang balita. At magandang balita ito para sa ating mga kababayan. Hindi lang dito sa Marikina, kundi sa mga katabi rin naming mga bayan at umaasa na matest sila dito sa ating testing center. Kahapon sa pagpupulong ng sa pamamagitan po ni Secretary Anyo ng Department of Interior and Local Government, and also together with Executive Secretary Vidaldea, they have advised DOH to hasten the process for accreditation of the Marikina Testing Center. Tulad po ng PCR machine, yung biosafety cabinets and refrigerations ay mga ini-install ngayon at kinakalibrate. Kailangan po kasi itong i-calibrate dahil shipping mode ho yung kasalukuyang calibration ho niya Secondly, after calibration, simultaneous to the installation and calibration, sinasagawa na rin po ngayon yung online training for all the members of the laboratory technician, laboratory aide, molecular biologists, dun sa biosafety level 2 training na kailangan. Coupled with that training is the proficiency training that will determine the skills level and aptitude of the laboratory technicians and the functionality of the laboratory. Ito part of the protocol before the center can be fully operational. The training will end by Saturday, and by Monday, there will be proficiency tests na gagawin, i-conduct para doon sa mga laboratory technicians and all the staff. At pagkatapos nun, inaasahan na natin yung accreditation. Technically, the laboratory is now open at tinetest natin yung functionality nito.
Okay, so by Tuesday siguro or Wednesday po, would that be reasonable?
Ed?
So by Tuesday po or Wednesday, would that be a reasonable timetable for the opening of the lab? Is that what you have in mind?
Technically, the lab is open now. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we're hoping that it will be operational, meaning we could already take in live samples or specimens, and we could undertake swabbing by that period. We will not undertake any swabbing or pathological analysis prior to the accreditation because it's part of the protocol set forth for biosafety and proficiency.
Mayor, yun po yung tanong ko. No? You mentioned protocol and kanina nabanggit nyo rin po lahat ng trainings na kailangan pang maganap, the calibrations you said that need to happen. And therefore curious as to what exactly was the tenor of the IATF guidance to the DOH. Kasi on the one hand, pinabilis. On the other hand, parang you're saying na, no, kailangan para kaming magdaan sa protocol. So what exactly was the guidance to the DOH? Ang sinabi ba sa DOH, hoy, ilusan nyo naman yung standards, or basically ang sinabi lang sa kanila, hoy, bilisan nyo naman?
Ang pakiusap ko talaga, Robbie, sa IATF kahapon during our online conference is that i-hasten yung scheduling of the trainings. Dahil lang originally, ang DOH, lahat ng training na gagawin, which is part of the protocol and standard that we are very much willing naman to comply, ay sinet next week pa. Ngayon, with the Interagency Task Force intervention, na-hasten, nagawa kahapon yung iba, yung ngayon gagawin, and over the weekend. Kung hindi nag-intervene, ang lahat ng training na yan gagawin pa next week. At bibilang pa tayo na isang linggo bago yung susunod na accreditation. So na-hasten in that sense na yung mga schedule of trainings, kasi ang trainings per law and per regulation of the DOH, DOH din lang ang authorized agency na maaaring magbigay lang ng training na to. At
okay, so parang the reason I ask is I think that's also reassuring for a lot of people to hear. So para lang po ang malinaw, bottom line, wala namang shortcut dito. Wala naman tayo linalaktawan na protocol o proseso. As you said, it was just a matter of quickening the scheduling.
Yes, correct, Robbie. Wala. At wala tayong intensyon sa simula pa lamang na laktawan yung mga protocol o yung mga standard operating procedures na kailangan gawin. Kasi we're dealing with live virus eh. Yung biosafety talagang mahalaga. Kaya nga nag-comply kami sa DOH. This is our second laboratory anyway. Kaya medyo familiar na rin kami doon sa process, sa workflow, sa SOP. Inilipat nga namin in a freestanding, stand-alone structure. Exclusive, malayo sa mga kabahayan, nakabakod at may security pa. Yung mga ganitong protocol, ginagawa natin the flow of air, yung to dirty air palabas ng laboratory, yung infectious waste management, yan tinitake into consideration very carefully. At ngayon, ang ginagawa sa center, since naka-install na yung mga machine, nagte-training din yung mga tao natin, yung mga staff, parang on the user's guide, how to properly use the machines. Yung machines natin are all state-of-the-art. Meaning, pinaka-latest in the technology. Even the refrigeration natin. Yung ibang makikita nating mga laboratory of this kind, ordinary refrigeration lang ang ginagamit. Pero tayo hindi. Laboratory grade ang ginagamit natin na may thermal mapping para yung mga reagent, yung mga samples ay properly cared for.
Mayor, yung gagamitin nyo, mainly yung mga testing kit na gawa ni Dr. Raul Destura?
Yes po, correct, Ami. Yes, correct, Ami.
So, mga ilan? Mga ilan sila, saka ano yung capability nyo as of this moment? Ano yung magiging capability for testing?
Yung machine na gagamitin, polymerized chain reaction. This is the gold standard in testing, in molecular testing. Meron kaming ina-expect na 2 machine na magagamit doon sa testing center natin. Based on the schedule of swabbing and the capacity of the machine, pwede kaming makapag-run ng 400 to 500 tests a day. And this will account for 5% of the national target of 8,000 a day as declared by the President. So makikita natin doon sa general effort o doon sa line of efforts ng Pangulo at ng national, malaking contribution itong testing center na to. And ito yung tinake cognizance, ito yung tinake into consideration ng IATF. Kaya nakita nila yung urgency at yung necessity for the Marikina Testing Center.
Mayor, linawin mo lang, sabi nyo, you have a polymerase testing. Ibig sabihin, pagka-testing ng rapid testing ni Professor Destura, pwede na kayong hindi na magpa-test pa uli sa RITF? Ganun ba yun?
Yes, opo. If we will get the accreditation from the OH, since this is the gold standard of testing, this is not a rapid testing, this is the testing PCR-based laboratory testing. This is already confirmatory kung given the accreditation by the DOH and given the quality of testing that we will be doing. Meron din tayong molecular pathologist dun sa testing center na siya magre-review ng results, mag-evaluate, mag-quality assurance. May ganung process And he will verify, validate, and sign the test result. And yung mga test result na to, of course, alam natin, sa effort natin, initial step lang ito para sa ganon, kung positive yung tao, immediately, readily, matreat siya, mabigay yung supportive treatment na kailangan niya, lalo na kung immunocompromised siya o may predisposing disability siya o medical condition. And secondly, more importantly, ma-isolate siya. Hindi na siya makahawa pa doon sa iba na kasama niya sa bahay o kaya sa trabaho niya. This is our strategy in order to curtail the transmission of the virus.
It's good, Mayor, that you found a middle ground with the DOH kasi we were worried that you would go head-to-head with the DOH on Friday. Kasi originally you announced that you would open the lab on Friday with or without the DOH approval. Pero let me ask you this po, are you confident that your staff, your medical and medtech staff there in that laboratory will be able to pass the exams on Monday?
Hopefully, I have the confidence naman. Kanina kausap ko sila. Nag-break sila from their training online at bukas ite-train sila sa UP Genome Center. Alam naman natin kung paano kagaling yung training na binibigay nila ron. Hopefully ay makapasa. At ako'y tiwala rin dahil may mga karanasan tong ating mga medical technologists, mga laboratory technicians. Hindi to mga newly graduate lamang. Saka this composite team. Meron tayong mga lab technician coming from our medical center here in Marikina, DOH Level 3 Hospital. At meron din tayong ilang laboratory technician that will be coming from Manila Health Tech, headed by Dr. Raul Destura. Sila yung nag-develop ng local test kit natin. They will form part of the laboratory staff in our Marikina Testing Center. The Manila Health Tech, incidentally, is also located in Marikina. O kaya meron kaming working
Ah.
relationship agad.
Okay. Mayor, I'm just curious, now that Marikina has basically developed the template for getting this not only conceptualized but off the ground, implemented, accredited, and operational,
Yes.
kompleto na po yung template nyo. How easily replicable is this then to by any other LGUs or any other regions that will now say, "Uy, na-clear na everything. We know where to purchase it. We know how to get the accreditation. DOH has now developed an expedited protocol for this." How easily replicable is this, or is that not necessarily the direction?
This is replicable in the at the outset. Iniisip na nga rin namin yan kaya nga we documented everything uh, nung huli kami magkausap nga ni Secretary Anyo, naiisip nga niya kung magawa dito sa Marikina, pwedeng gawin din sa ibang city or even at the provincial level, and I think this will revolutionize everything in terms of our
One
capacity.
one basic baseline question po. Magkano po yan? If a mayor or a governor somewhere says, gusto namin dito, if I take it from whatever documentation you will hand them, magkano po ang investment nila?
Yeah, offhand, ang isang polymerized reaction chain reaction machine, yung PCR machine, nabili namin yun sa amin, 2.3 mukhang napamahal pa nga kami kanina. May kausap ko, sabi ko, magkano ba yung isa pang polymerized chain reaction machine? Sabi sa akin, Mayor, pag second order mo na, baka 1.8 na lang. Sabi gano'n sa akin. Yeah. Hindi naman mahal na mahal ang mga PCR machine. In fact, kung walang pambili yung isang city, pwede siya mag-tie up sa mga state university and colleges sa kanilang area. Dahil marami tayong mga PCR machine sa mga SUCs natin ginagamit to sa mga molecular biology or molecular lab natin sa mga SUCs natin yung mga biosafety cabinet siguro less than 1 million, yung refrigeration less than 100,000 pesos easily. Any city can put up this kind of molecular diagnostic laboratory. Kailangan lang may roadmap saka may guide lang talaga. Nakakatulong din talaga ang DOH kung ipagbinigay nila sa inyo yung kanilang technical guide. Meron silang technical guide na nasa opisina nila at the outset we requested for this guide para masusunod namin yung personal requirement, training requirement, equipment requirement, and with that guide, meron ding risk assessment template na binibigay. Plus floor plan for the laboratory. Meron kaming lahat yan documented, and sabi ko nga kay Secretary Anyo, we could provide this to the Department of Interior and Local Government. If ever merong mga gustong gawin din to, ay meron na silang susundan.
Mayor.
Yes, Ami.
Libre po ba sa mga constituent nyo yung testing? Completely free?
Yes, completely free po. Hindi ho libre lang yung test kit po, kundi libre pati ho yung diagnostic ho na gagawin ho dun sa laboratory.
Magkano yung budget na yun? Magkano? Per person?
Yung aming per capita ang cost ng aming test kit na kinuha locally developed ay halos 50% less dun sa mga imported mga nasa 1,200 pesos ang computation namin sa bawat isang test kit. At yung syempre naroon yung operation of the center. I think one test will cost lahat pati overhead expenses baka mga 1,600 to 1,700.
Mayor, linawin ko lang po yung tanong ni Ami because she asked specifically, sabi niya, sa constituents nyo. Or is it in fact free for everybody? And for that matter, siguro simple question, is this covered by PhilHealth?
Sa ngayon, this is part of our health services eh. Kaya hindi ko namin pababayaran doon sa PhilHealth eh. But we could possibly explore that possibility. Pero we are not inclined to do so dahil nga kung may PhilHealth siya, pwede niyang gamitin na lang yung PhilHealth niya doon sa medication, doon sa treatment, medical. At yun din yung isang service na gusto namin i-provide eventually after the testing. Yung medical treatment, yung supportive treatment na kailangan ng tao. Kasi yung testing will only determine whether you're positive or negative. The real problem really is with the treatment. And after treatment, yung yung isolation pa. May cost pa rin yun eh. Yung how you will quarantine yourself, and eventually after isolation, we hope that the healed patient can be reintegrated to the family and to the community. Ganun yung idea sana natin eh. Test, then we treat, we isolate, and then we reintegrate the person to the family or to the community.
Mayor, mamahalin po kayo ng PhilHealth niyan. Pero you have one problem out of the way. Ano pa po ang mga problema niyo related to COVID? Dealing with COVID in Marikina.
I think the impact is not simply on the medical side of the COVID, but yung social and economic Ito yung nakikita namin. How to jumpstart everything after the quarantine period.
Meron na po yung binabalak along that line sa how to jumpstart the Marikina economy.
Yeah. Aside from the social amelioration that we have with the national government, that we want this to be implemented as soon as time possible. We're helping the DSWD in identifying low-income household, and by identifying the low-income household, sila yung kinu-qualify namin for the social amelioration. Aside from that, meron din kami local social amelioration program. Iniisip ko nga, hand in hand, kung magagawa ito, so kung kulang doon sa DSWD, this will complement yung kung ano yung kulang, magkakatulong. Tapos, tina-target namin yung displaced sector talaga, drivers, yung mga shoemakers namin na hindi nakagawa for 1.5 months. Next week, magbibigay kami ng social amelioration sa kanila, konting financial o cash subsidy. Yung mga workers namin nasa mall dito sa Marikina, ayan, nagbigay kami ng cash. Parang to jumpstart also the local economy, and we are advising them to spend the money that we're giving or providing to them here in Marikina. Ibili nila sa palengke namin, ibili na sa mga karinderyang meron sa kanilang mga komunidad para yung karinderya may trabaho, bibili rin sa palengke sila, dugtong-dugtong na Secondly, after the quarantine, yung aming mga local infrastructure projects, in-advise ko na rin yung mga contractor namin na ang hiring ng mga laborers o workforce should come from the city para matulungan yung lalo na yung mga na-displaced naming mga kababayan. And,
sapat ho ba yung binigay sa inyong number ng DSWD for the social amelioration card? Kasi di ba magbibigay ng allotment ng DSWD tapos saka mag-identify yung munisipyo kung sino-sino.
Hindi naman kasalanan ng DSWD binigyan sila ng quota ng Department of Finance based on the poverty threshold na meron tayo. Kaya sa amin sa Marikina, less than half of the number we requested from DSWD ang naibigay sa amin. Yung iba, tingin ko negative, pero I don't see it that way. Ang sabi ko nga sa mga kababayan ko, mabuting meron kahit konti, meron tayong naipamimigay kaysa totally wala tayong natanggap. Kaya sabi ko, ang pagdidistribute, nagkakaroon ng prioritization. Low-income households, doon sa mga community areas namin, doon sa mga settlement areas, yung mga nasa laylayan, yun ang mga inuuna namin. At pagkatapos nun, ini-evaluate naman ng DSWD. Tulad nitong kahapon, meron kami sinadmit sa DSWD 5,000 social amelioration cards mabilis naman nilang na-evaluate. Ngayong araw, binalik sa akin, out of the 5,000, 4,000 na nag-qualify. Yung 1,000 hindi nag-qualify. Bakit? Yung ibang nag-fill out ng form, by profession, lawyer, practicing lawyer. So hindi naman siguro talo na sa buhay yon.
O naman,
Pero isa,
abogado pala eh.
di ba? Di ko lang, nagalit yung abogado, i-debanda ako, hindi siya nag-qualify eh. Businessman na yan, niligay pa kung anong klaseng negosyo meron siya, hardware. Hindi disqualify. Ibibigay na lang natin yung slot na yun. Ito sa mas nangangailangan. Siguro isa nagtutulak ng kariton, doon natin ibigay. Doon sa nagtitinda sa yung driver ng tricycle, doon natin ibigay.
We're almost out of time po. We'll let you have the last say before we go into the gap. Any message to the people of Marikina and to your constituents?
Opo, hindi po perpekto ang pamahalaan po natin. May crisis po tayo, marami hong pagkukulang. Pero kung magtutulong-tulong po tayong lahat, may bayanihan po, palagay ko malalagpasan po natin itong crisis na to. We are preparing after the quarantine, health-wise and also from the social and economic point of view. Dapat maunawaan po natin, malaki po itong hamon na ito na nangyari sa atin. Sa kasaysayan daw, ito'y nangyayari, ito'y ika-100 taon po. The last time is the Spanish flu na kumitil din ng maraming buhay, milyon po. Ganito din po nangyayari sa atin. Pero malalagpasan po natin to kung tayo sama-sama at magtutulong-tulong. Tayo po'y Pilipino. Yun po ang pinakamagandang nangyari po sa atin. Meron po tayong lakas ng loob, tapang ng dibdib na kaya po natin itong lagpasan. May puso po tayong kakayanin po ang lahat ng bagay nito.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Mayor Marcy Teodoro ng Marikina.
Maraming salamat, Mayor.
The Chiefs will be
Robbie,
right back.
salamat. Ami, thank you. Nice to see you again.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you po.
Salamat. Nag-aalala ka sa akin nung huli. Baka makulong ako eh. Mukhang absuelto na ako.
Thank you, Mayor. Ingat po. Welcome to the Chiefs, and we are now in the final stage of our conversation on this episode, and we are now joined by Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship Secretary Joey Concepcion. Sir, thank you for joining us, and welcome to the Chiefs.
Thank you.
Sir, well, you are part of a group of businessmen who have recommendations as to how to move beyond yung extended quarantine. And of course, we've also seen a lot of other proposals by business groups, among them yung kay Teresita C. Coson, and so on down the line. We'd like to ask you first, kayo po, does the business community have a not a standard, but a common position on how to move forward beyond April 30?
Yes, we've been meeting for the last, I'd say, 4 weeks now, and we had 3 engagements with the secretaries and the private sector. So basically, the conglomerates and the business organizations are part of this group. That, in fact, we are on Viber as well in 2 different formats and engaging with everybody. So my recommendation, well, the conclusion basically was the last meeting about 2 days ago in the palace with the president himself, and I'd like to maybe share with you the plans that we have presented to the president. No?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Number one, I think currently we're on a Luzon lockdown, and the president did that because, and he did it at the right time, because we were at a state of emergency. Let's put it that way. He wanted to protect and prevent people from getting sick. And you've seen it from what happened in the United States and in Europe, that they did it quite late. The Philippines, we did it on time, and if not, then we would have been in a total mess. So now that we're in a Luzon lockdown, we have had so far what I call 3 resets. No? The first 2 resets, 1 reset is equal to 2 weeks. I always like the word reset. When you say reset, what is the significance there? In 14 days, normally, you will determine whether that person is sick or healthy. That's very clear. That's the standard quarantine that everybody gets when they feel sick. Now, they go to the room or they are quarantined for 14 days. You can see some secretaries quarantined for 14 days. So we've had, that started March 15. We've ended the second reset a couple of days now, from about 2 days ago. Now we're in the third and final reset, which I call it in basketball your extension. Normally, most countries do only 1 month with 2 resets. We are now in the extra time. Why did we do the extra time? Because the business sector and government felt that, just to be sure, let's do an extension to ensure that the infection level is going to be almost gone. But of course, those who don't follow the rules and staying home, that will not work. No? So there are a couple, but not majority. Now, the shift is important. In war, you have to have a strategy. So we want to shift this to what we call a selective quarantine at the barangay level. So when we say selective quarantine, you don't start by locking down Makati. You start by looking at the barangays that are infected and locking down either the street, the house, or if the barangay is very compressed with so many homes, then you have to lock down the barangay. And you may have to do that as you get more infections all over the different barangays, then you have to lock down all of them. No? Now, when it gets out of control, and unfortunately gets to that level, then you lock down the entire city or municipality. Then when a lot of cities are already, full of infection, then you have no choice but to lock down the province. What does that mean? That means that that barangay captain or that mayor or that governor did not have enough maybe testing kits to determine the level of infection. And he has to have a game plan, no? Together with the administration. So that is what we're proposing right now, is to really move towards a selective quarantine at the barangay level. And the IATF will have to come out with very clear rules on levels of authority, who locks down the barangay, who locks down the municipality or city, who locks down the province. No? And what is the parameters here and what can happen, no? But who takes over? So that is a suggestion that we made, and it's being taken into seriously into consideration by the chief implementer himself, Secretary Galvez, Secretary Anyo, and Secretary Del. But that's not enough. No, you really have to have mass screening, and that's what we proposed when I met the president the last about 2 nights ago, and we explained to him that the PCR testing is the gold standard, and we're not saying that that should be stopped. In fact, that should be accelerated. The problem there, as the Marikina Mayor was saying, the challenges in setting up that kind of testing facility takes time because the bios safety is so important. Because out of saliva, they use the swab. You can infect people easily, so they have to have trained people, nurses, medtechs, to be able to do that. You have to have a structure, and you have to buy the equipment, and they have to pass the OH. So there are levels from stage 1 to stage 5. Marikina, I heard, is stage 3. You have to get to stage 5 to be able to operate. And that is, I don't know how long it took the Marikina Mayor to get to stage 3, but many people are having challenges. And that's why the testing capacity is very low. Because, yes, they have those 7 or 8 or 10 even plants, but they're not in anywhere close to stage 5. So what did we tell the president? Number one, you can't test your entire city, all of them go to a PCR test. I mean, that's not correct. In fact, Secretary Carlo Nograles said the same thing that we said this morning, that you start with the rapid test kits. Okay, what does the rapid test gives you? First, it costs about, if you buy it from China directly, it can land anywhere between 300 to 700 pesos. Okay, it's
ganun
ready
pala?
to execute. You have a nurse that can be trained, and you just draw your blood into that test kit. I had one here earlier, and that's all you need to do. No, I mean, this is an example of a rapid test kit. Okay, so
Para sa
now
pregnancy test kit eh.
it looks like a pregnancy test kit. So here you put the blood in this section. Okay, and what are we after here? We're after there is C, G, and M. So when it goes to G, that means IgG. So if you're tested positive for IgG, I'm not a doctor, by the way, but this whole thing has really educated me a lot. When you tested with IgG positive, that means you have the antibodies.
The
That
antibodies,
is what
yeah.
we want to find out from Filipinos. How many Filipinos have the antibodies? Now, that means when you have the antibodies, that means you have had the disease that maybe you didn't even know. And these are what we call asymptomatic people. In a way, dangerous because they've been walking around looking healthy, but they already have the virus. So there are people who are maybe their immunity is very strong, so they can withstand it. Okay, so and then once you have the antibodies, technically speaking, 6 months to 8 months, nobody knows, maybe a year, you're protected from a recurrence. Although there's some cases in Korea that there are recurrences, but it's not still very proven to be such. No. Now, if you hit the M here, that what we call IgM, that means then you have the virus. So what happens to you? You have to go for a PCR test, okay? And you will have to fall in line, and either our company will take you there and file that you need to go there, but you already have to be definitely confined, isolated, no? Because you are definitely going to contaminate people. So if you're at the C and going to the palace now and seeing the president, you have to take this test, no, or else you can't enter. And luckily, I was at C. That means I wasn't infected at all. No, that's negative. So that is what we're after in doing this test. It's very simple to use. So you just put the blood and that's it here in this thing. So now, what do we want to use this for? Those that are IgM positive, they have to be immediately tested with a PCR. No? Those that are IgG positive, then those are your soldiers, your employees that now you can put in the site and only test those that are like me that did have it, don't have the virus or never had it. So you only monitor that. So in a city, you will save a lot of money. Imagine if you have 100,000 citizens living in your town or your city. What happens? Are you going to test everybody every other month? That's going to be expensive. The mayor said it's about 1,600. times the population size, because you cannot just I test you today and that's it. No, you'll have to test that
So
person again. What if he gets
that's
the
initial
virus?
screening po bale. That's good for
It
initial
is your
screening.
initial screening. This is what we call, you know, that is your initial screening. Now, you understand that with 3 resets, you don't need to test anybody. Why? Because during the 3 resets, you actually are screening people already. That lockdown lifts up who are sick and who are not. So it's like we even without testing people, malalaman na natin by April 29, even earlier now, you see a lot of people, they're already in the hospital. Some of them have passed away. Some of them are in the as PUIs, as PUMs. Yung problema lang ngayon, hindi kaya na makina eh. So what we will be seeing is we will be seeing even after April the test results still going up and up and up because nakalag yan eh, delayed. So, but at certain point, maybe towards first week of May, you will see that taper off. No, it will have to happen kasi you will see the taper
Pero
off, and
Sec,
eventually that will start going down.
Sec, if I may ask you, ano ho yung response ng Malacanang? Kasi by next week they're looking at already forming some sort of a decision on whether or not to do a modified post April 30 quarantine and ano yung parameters. Ano po yung feedback sa Malacanang? For example,
Well,
vis-a-vis your proposal.
to me, the most important is what is the strategy. So whatever they decide on May, it's fine. To me, the president approved basically the mass screening. He ordered 2 million of this. Hopefully, it arrives in May. I'm praying that they agree on shifting now the structure from a Luzon lockdown to basically a selective quarantine. Importante yan. That's very important.
Secretary.
Now, what
Secretary.
did we ask also? We asked them to allow all manufacturing that have a demand, no? Not just essentials, including non-essentials. We also requested that maybe we can start construction of, with maybe even in the provinces where the level of infection is not high, especially government projects that are almost finished, like the connector roads and all of that. We suggested that they allow them to continue, no? And we requested that the removal of all the security checkpoints, no, so that cargos can move freely and people can move to work freely, no, and that will also help agricultural products move from farm to market, no. That should move unhampered. Companies still are already used to a skeletal workforce, no, so we're used to that, and we will operate still with a skeletal workforce. The other thing that we requested is, okay, we agree that, okay, mass gatherings must be limited. But we're saying that let's allow malls to open. The owners of the malls are responsible people. And I think they know that the compliance on social distancing is a must. And you will see that maybe 50% of the malls will be only utilized. I mean, it will scale up gradually. Restaurants will have to follow social distancing. There's no choice with that. And so we are suggesting that let's allow the private sector and the owners of the malls, they're responsible, mandatory use of face masks or face shields and things like that, temperature controls and distancing, no? So that's one. And of course, schools should remain closed to me till September. If I had my way, till the end of the year, areas of entertainment, places of gathering should remain still closed. Restaurants ideally should be allowed to open, provided they follow the rules. And the last, we asked that, and we mentioned that allow public transportation, MRT, LRT, and so forth. So basically, in a nutshell, this is what we are asking the government to consider. And we've met about 3 times with them in different meetings and together with the entire group of private sector.
Secretary, I'm just curious because breaking down your first 2 points, no, selective quarantine, wag na Luzon wide. Let's allow it to be implemented on the LGU, city, even the barangay levels. And then on the other hand, a loosening from a sectoral perspective. You mentioned manufacturing, construction, agriculture based, and so on. But if you take NCR alone, for example, the reality is we're all transient people. People are living in a locality, for example, that might need a locality-based lockdown. but then they will be working in a particular sector that might require them to go to Mandaluyong or Manila. What happens when these two seem to conflict and not necessarily jibe?
So the IATF will have to draw rules. For example, if they do decide to lock down or to quarantine a particular area, like say, for example, Manila or Quezon City, or I don't know, these are the top two I'm told that have high level of infection. Then maybe what they can do is they would have a pass for the employees who are working somewhere else, and maybe they can do a rapid test kit, no, and check them whether they are infected at that point in time. And if they're not infected, then they be allowed to go to work. No, so that's one option that can be studied. Uh, the cargo movement should still move freely. I mean, because people in these areas that are under quarantine will have to get basic essentials. But definitely, commerce in that area will have to be on a standstill if we were to follow there under what we call quarantine. And how long will you quarantine the province or the city or the barangay? Will be basically 14 days, no? Ideally 14 days, and if you want to extend it to 1 month, that it's up to the that's where they have to create the rules, no? But to me, if everybody follows strictly the quarantine and just stays home in a small area like a house, 14 days is good enough, no? If you're quarantining a home, maybe a street, 14 days is good enough. Now, if you want to be more conservative, then make it 3 weeks, no? Allow that 1 week as your, what I call, extension period, no? So those are ideas that are being floated, and I'm sure our secretaries would think of that. But we have to allow commerce. If you don't allow commerce or the economy to move, then the country is just going to go down and down and down. What drives people to improve their lives? It's not social amelioration. Social amelioration is what I call an emergency thing. You're just throwing him a lifeline. The Philippines is not a rich country like America that can print money like anything. We have a limit to that. And the challenge is that we don't want to borrow money from every country and be in debt. And Secretary Dominguez has a good job in maintaining our balance sheet, and we should keep it that way. And we still hope to be one day an investment grade country. And if ever there's any Secretary Dominguez is the person to do it. So let's not destroy our balance sheet. Let's pay our utang. Let's be respected as a good country, as a good corporation. So the economy has to run. There is no way that we all will just be staying home and watching your TV shows, no, and getting scared. We have to bring consumer confidence back.
Yes, but Secretary, coming to either being very confident in our strategy, or on the other hand, very conservative, can the economy and can businesses withstand a false start? Or if for example we say, okay, we follow this strategy, and then let's say it's the fear of the unknown, diba? What if something happens? Can we take the shock of a false start? If we say, okay, let's do this, and then 3 weeks later there's another wave, and we say, no, let's hit the panic button and let's stop again.
Let's do it this way. At this point in time, I think every barangay captain and every mayor knows the surrounding area right now. You would know if there is a virus. Hopefully, our testing capability will improve. And as I said, if you believe the principle of a reset, I mean, that in the end of 2 weeks or 6 weeks, that you have a restart. You know what a restart is? We have to trust that science works. If we don't believe in that, then why the hell did we even do this whole 6 weeks, right? I mean, you have to believe in that the 6 weeks is a good reset. If you don't believe in it, then there's no argument. There's no even need for me to explain anything, because we have to believe in the science that you are determined to be infected or not within 14 days. We have done it 3 times. So if we don't believe in that, then it won't work. Of course, maybe the people in Balagtawak will be an exception because they didn't follow it. But for barangays and for cities that adhere to that principle, definitely you will know. I mean, how many of our friends are either dead, alive, or sick, or whatever? We know that already now. We know that the greater part of the majority, the middle class and upper class, are the the most affected. We're wondering now, while many of our Filipinos that are challenged in life and living at the levels of poverty, that they are not getting as hit as we are getting hit. No, I'm just being frank about it. We've been seeing these things now. So, in the end, of what I'm trying to tell you is that I'm just following medical science in the sense that these resets are good for the country, and if we don't believe in that, then I don't know how will we ever maneuver to this crisis.
Secretary Concepcion, you're talking about medical science. I'm aware that you've been discussing the difficult balancing act between the life and economics. And there was and you have been generally supportive of what the government has been doing. You've been supportive of most of the measures of the government. Now there was a resolution filed at the Senate today, and they are asking for the head of Secretary Duque for failure of leadership, negligence, lack of foresight. Can you have your reaction to
Let's put it this way. You know, I don't want to react on that thing. I mean, I think that where we are today is I would just maybe put the credit. I mean, the president, in a sense, listens to people, and he did the right thing. Now, uh, everybody sometimes becomes complacent. You see that in America, you see that in Europe. People thought that maybe this was not going to be that big. Unfortunately, it became so huge, and there's some people who feel that way. Now, I hope that the biggest challenge I have right now is really trying to get DOH to really understand that we are not under normal times. If we were under normal times, then we should use just the PCR as the gold standard. But when your daughter or your son is sick of cancer, aren't you going to do everything you can to try to bring that child of yours to determine what kind of cancer does he have? Are you going to try to, in desperation, give him every possible test just to save his life? To me, that is the most important thing. I mean, I see a lot of families. I have friends who begged for test kits from me, and I am keeping some for my family. But I had to give it to them because they were really struggling and they were worried because they got sick. And true enough, they were sick and they were confirmed. At least they were IgG positive, which means they had the virus. They survived. I had a friend doctor who was his mom and dad were affected, and he himself was affected. So he got those test kits from me, and in the end, his mom is alive and his father passed away. And these are stories, are real stories of people begging you to help them. And I just happened to be given some test kits. So this is the biggest challenge, and I'm glad that the president realized this. I mean, why will the palace even allow now everybody to go through the palace to be using these rapid test kits? We had a lot of people saying this is not accurate. Yes, it's not as accurate as the PCR, and we never said so. But it is the only thing that we have at this point in time that can help and give assurance to the people. And if it is negative or positive, you retest it again. So in times of emergency, you have to do something else, and you have to respond to that. And my own feeling is that it has been a struggle. I mean, I'm glad that our own FDA DG Domingo was very open enough to allow these kits to be approved, and at least now we're using them. But if not for him, then these test kits will not be even in the market today for us to be able to use. So there are good people in DOH that are helping. I mean, Secretary Duke and I still communicate, but we sometimes disagree in things, and that's part of life. I mean, but in the end, as an entrepreneur, my heart is with the micro and small entrepreneurs. Now, if they all go down, all the work that we have done to help them rise from poverty is wasted. And that's why people are wondering, why am I so passionate about this? It's because of the small entrepreneurs. We were once upon a time like these guys. So if they fail because of this tragedy, then who's going to help them again? So that's why I'm
Yeah.
passionate in trying to develop a structure of biasing government.
I Yeah, Secretary, we're running out of time, but I will take on that final point of yours to prompt you on a final question. You've made a lot of recommendations. The private sector has made a lot of recommendations. There's a lot of moving parts that touch not just on business but also on public health, and it will undergo a process as you understand and have acknowledged. But by April 30, what's the minimum in terms of decision points that you would want, that you in the private sector would want to see being made by April 30?
Let's put it this way. We have presented our recommendations. I've met the president and appealed to him. And in the end, that's what the role of the private sector is, to advise. And whatever decision they have, we will accept and we will do it and follow it. And it's up to them. We have said our piece. There is, of course, we would wish that most of these recommendations will be done. But in the end, they are also able to see certain things that we're not able to see. So we will rely on their best judgment. And we are, we enjoyed that good relationship with the public sector today. So in the end, I'm glad that they've heard us. And I'm really sure that they will be adopting some of our recommendations.
Okay. Ed?
Oh, Robbie, it's supposed to be you, but okay. Sige. Maraming salamat po, Presidential Advisor on Entrepreneurship, Joey Concepcion. Thank you for joining us and thank you for your inputs. We hope to see you again here at the Chiefs. We hope to see you face-to-face na rin sana. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary.
That will be all for this special edition of the Chiefs. We hope that was discussed here. We'll keep the conversation going. I'm Ed Lingao, One News.
I'm Ami Paminton of the Philippine Star.
And I'm Robbie Alampay. We are One News.